This recipe is called Chicken, Fish and Veg Medley, and it's one of those recipes that proves homemade feeding doesn't need complicated ingredients to be nutritious. It's a really nice mix of different proteins, colorful vegetables and nutrient-dense extras that all work well together while keeping the recipe simple and easy to make. So let's not waste any more time, let's make it. We'll start with the vegetables first. Peel the butternut squash and chop it into small cubes. Then finely dice or grate the carrots. Next, chop the courgette into small pieces. And finally, rinse the blueberries and set those aside for later. Now onto the proteins. We are using whitefish and chicken thighs as the main proteins in this recipe. For the whitefish, remove any larger bones if needed and chop it into bite-sized pieces. For the chicken thighs, trim off any excess skin if there is a lot of it, then chop the meat into smaller chunks. We are also adding chicken heart, which is one of my favorite ingredients in homemade feeding because it's naturally rich in nutrients like taurine and coenzyme Q10. Slice the chicken heart into smaller pieces before cooking. Then there is a small amount of beef liver because liver is incredibly nutrient dense, especially for nutrients like vitamin A and copper. I usually chop it quite finely so it mixes through the recipe evenly. We're also adding sardines for omega-3 fatty acids, which help support skin, coat and overall health. If you're using tin sardines, make sure they're in spring water rather than oil or tomato sauce. I like breaking them up slightly with a fork before adding them in. Then we have nutritional yeast, which adds extra flavor and contains naturally occurring B vitamins. And finally, egg yolk for extra nutrients and healthy fats. Now for the cooking. Add the chicken thighs and chicken hearts to a pan on low to medium heat and gently cook for a few minutes. We are lightly cooking this recipe rather than heavily frying it because we want to preserve as many nutrients as possible while still gently cooking the ingredients. Once the chicken starts cooking, add the butternut squash and carrots. Cook gently until the vegetables begin to soften slightly. Then add the courgette, whitefish and chopped liver. Whitefish cooks very quickly, so it only needs a few minutes. At this stage, you can also add a little warm water if your dog prefers meals with more moisture. Once everything is lightly cooked, turn the heat off completely. Stir through the sardines, blueberries, egg yolk, nutritional yeast and turmeric. And once the food has cooled, we can add Olli and Antli. This part is important because heat can damage certain vitamins and delicate nutrients, so adding them after cooking helps preserve nutritional quality. Even when homemade recipes use fresh ingredients, they can still fall short in certain nutrients over time, and that's where Olli comes in. Olli is designed to help fill nutritional gaps in homemade diets using whole food ingredients, helping bring recipes closer to complete and balanced nutrition. You'll also notice we are using a little Antli alongside Olli. Olli already contains antler powder, but adding some Antli separately helps to get to that required calcium to phosphorus ratio without needing to use a much larger amount of Olli, which can work out more economical if you prepare homemade meals regularly. Now, a fair warning for the humans. Once you mix in Olli, the food may suddenly turn slightly green. The dogs can't care less. People, on the other hand, tend to panic. So if you prefer, you can mix Olli with a little cold boiled water first to make a paste, then drizzle it over the meal instead of fully mixing it through. And that's Chicken, Fish and Veg Medley, a lightly cooked fresh food recipe packed with protein variety, colorful ingredients and nutritional diversity.